When I was 22, I took a job as a seasonal farmhand in eastern Oregon. It was the kind of gig where you work sunup to sundown and sleep in a tiny, drafty trailer on the edge of the property. There was no cell service. The closest town was 30 miles out. But I didn't care. It was money, and I liked being alone. The farm was massive, fields stretching for what felt like forever, bordered by pine forest. There were only 2 of us working there full time. Me and an older guy named Mitch, who mostly kept to himself. One night after a long harvest day, I was sitting in the trailer eating leftover chili and reading when I heard a strange sound. A low, slow engine rumble, like an old truck idling. I paused. No one else was supposed to be out here. Mitch had gone into town earlier that evening and wasn't due back until morning. I stepped outside, and sure enough, out in the middle of the north field was a truck. No lights, no movement, just sitting there. It was old, rusted, looked like something from the 70s. I stood on the porch watching it, waiting to see if anyone got out. But nothing happened. After about 10 minutes, I decided to grab my flashlight and walk out there. Bad idea, I know, but something in me needed to see it up close. As I got closer, my light hit the windshield, and I swear I saw someone in the driver's seat, just sitting, perfectly still. I stopped walking. That's when the engine cut off. Total silence. I called out, "Hey, you okay?" No answer. I took one more step, and that's when the truck's door slowly creaked open. I turned and ran, fast, back to the trailer, heart hammering in my chest. I locked the door, shut the blinds, and grabbed the old hunting rifle the owner kept behind the kitchen table. I sat there in the dark, barely breathing. Minutes passed. Then I heard it. Gravel crunching. Footsteps. Approaching the trailer. Then silence. Then 3 knocks on the door. Not fast, not loud, just deliberate. I stayed silent, rifle aimed at the door. Whoever it was stood there for what felt like an hour. Then they walked around the trailer. I followed the sound of their steps, heart pounding. They stopped at the window near my bed. I didn't dare move. Eventually, the steps faded away. But I didn't sleep that night. When Mitch came back in the morning, I told him everything. He went pale and said, "You saw the old Dodge, didn't you?" I asked what he meant. He told me the previous owner of the farm had a son, a troubled guy. He disappeared one night in the 90s after driving his dad's old truck into the field during a breakdown. Never found. No body. No truck. Nothing. Until now, apparently. Mitch and I went out to where I saw the truck. There were no tire tracks, no prints, no sign of a vehicle ever being there. But later that night, when I was getting ready for bed, I opened the trailer door to let some cool air in. And sitting just at the edge of the porch was a muddy handprint on the window. When I was 17, my little brother had just turned 10. And that's kind of important to this story, because this happened during the 1 week my parents went out of town. They left me in charge, and he and I stayed at our house alone. We live in rural Michigan. Quiet place, kind of isolated. Big backyard, lots of trees, like forest-level trees. We've got a long gravel driveway too, which usually means you can hear cars coming from a mile away. I wasn't scared or anything being home alone. I had the dog. My brother was an easy kid. And honestly, I was kind of excited. Just chill, watch movies, microwave food, play games late. The third night, my brother and I were watching some Marvel movie in the living room. He fell asleep on the couch, and I didn't want to wake him, so I left him there. Around 1 a.m., I turned off the TV and was about to head upstairs when I noticed the curtain on the window behind the couch was just slightly open. I don't know why, but I walked over to pull it shut, and when I did, I saw it, a man standing way out in the tree line. Just standing there, not moving. I thought maybe it was a neighbor, but we don't really have neighbors, at least not that close. I watched for a second longer, and then he stepped back, like deliberately, into the shadow of a tree. Gone. I locked every door in the house after that, even though they were already locked. Double-checked the windows. Then I stayed awake in the kitchen with the lights off, because for some reason I didn't want him to know I was still awake. I must have fallen asleep at some point, because I woke up in the same chair. It was daylight. My brother was fine, still asleep on the couch. The front door was still locked. Nothing seemed out of place. I told myself I imagined the guy, or maybe it was a hunter or something stupid like that, and I kind of forgot about it until the next night. This time it was about 2:30 a.m. I was upstairs and I heard the dog growling, not barking, just this low, steady growl that made my skin crawl. I went downstairs quietly and saw the dog sitting in front of the glass door that leads to the backyard, ears up, completely still, rolling at something I couldn't see. I turned on the patio light. Nothing. But the moment I turned the light off, I swear on everything, I saw movement out there. Someone walking across the backyard toward the side of the house. Not running, walking. I ran to the front of the house and peeked through the blinds. Didn't see anything. But then there was this tapping sound coming from the window right beside me. Not loud, just tap, tap, pause, tap. I didn't even look. I just grabbed my brother, ran upstairs with him, and locked us in my room. I called my uncle, who lives about 10 minutes away. Thank God, he picked up on the second ring. While I was on the phone with him, I swear I heard something brushing against the siding, like someone walking slowly around the house with their hand dragging across it. I stayed on the phone with him until he pulled into the driveway. His headlights lit up the whole front of the house, and I'll never forget what I saw. Someone crouching by the bushes under the living room window. They stood up as the lights hit them and sprinted around the side of the house toward the woods. My uncle searched the yard with a flashlight but never found them. We called the cops. They didn't find much either. No signs of forced entry, just footprints. Deep ones, like someone had been standing in the same spot for a long time. My uncle stayed with us the rest of the week. I never saw the guy again, but for months I kept having dreams about that tapping sound. And the worst part is knowing that whoever it was, they had come back. This happened in March of 2021 during my first year living on my own. I had just moved into a small rental house on the outskirts of Asheville, North Carolina. It was cheap, quiet, surrounded by trees. Felt perfect for a creative reset. I'm a writer, so I thought isolation would help me focus. I was wrong. The place was a one-bedroom, tiny porch out front, and a big window that faced the woods out back. The landlord was some retired guy who lived a few miles away. He was friendly enough, but before I moved in, he just said one weird thing. If you ever hear tapping late at night, don't go to the window. Just Wait it out. I laughed. Figured he was just being dramatic or trying to mess with a new tenant. The first few days were uneventful, peaceful even. I'd wake up, make coffee right until sunset, then watch a movie before bed. No neighbors, no cars, just forest and silence. Honestly, I loved it. Until the third night. It was a little after 1 a.m. and I was reading in bed. That's when I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. At first, I thought maybe it was a tree branch or a squirrel or something. But it was steady, too rhythmic. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps again. It was coming from the window behind me. I sat up, trying to listen. Nothing. Then, tap, tap, tap. This time, I knew it was fingers. My heart started racing. I didn't move, just stared at the wall, listening. I remembered what the landlord had said. Don't go to the window. But of course I did. I turned slowly, and through the thin curtain, I saw the outline of a face. It was pale, eyes wide, lips pressed into a crooked smile. He was standing there, just inches from the glass, tapping it with 1 finger. Not hard. Like he was being polite. I froze. I didn't breathe. I remember my ears ringing from how loud my heartbeat felt. Then he leaned in, pressing his nose to the glass. Still smiling. Still tapping. I backed away without taking my eyes off him. Grabbed my phone. No signal. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor in the corner with a kitchen knife and waited for sunrise. By morning, he was gone. But outside, right under the window, were bare footprints in the frost. Human. No shoes, no socks, just feet. They led from the tree line up to my window and back. I called the landlord, told him everything. He was silent for a long time, then finally said, I told you not to go to the window. I asked if he knew who it was. All he said was, he's been around longer than me. Just don't acknowledge him. That's how he picks people. What the hell was that supposed to mean? That night, I nailed the curtain shut, moved a dresser in front of the window. But around 2:30 a.m., I heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. Then footsteps on the porch. Then a knock. Not aggressive, just one solid knock, like someone asking to be let in. I didn't move, didn't breathe. The knock didn't come again, but I swear I could feel him out there, waiting. The next morning, more footprints. This time, they circled the house. Every window, even the tiny one above the shower. That was it. I packed a bag, drove to town, and didn't come back for 3 days. When I finally did, nothing was broken. No sign of forced entry. But every single window had smudge marks, like someone had pressed their face to the glass. I moved out a week later. To this day, I don't know who or what he was. Maybe just a man. Maybe not. But I still hear the tapping sometimes, in my dreams. And I never, ever look at my window at night.